Welcome back, everybody. We always love to introduce you to some very special Iowans. And one of those we happen to think, Sarah Noll Wilson is joining us here this morning. We thought we would invite you in today because, you know, we're starting a new year.
Yes.
And I know new resolutions really isn't kind of your thing.
Well, it's because most of them fail.
So you have kind of a different approach to, you know, for us starting off a new year, and maybe we're wanting to change some habits and kind of go about things a little bit differently, goal setting and all of that good stuff. So that's why we're looking forward to talking. You can help us out. Jackie and I, are looking to be inspired. That's
Make me successful in 2020.
I can't motivate you. Only you can motivate you.
Okay, fine. So if resolutions isn't the right way of looking at it, because we instantly think, oh, failure, how should we be looking at it?
Well, I think there's not, I mean, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with wanting to build new habits. We build new habits all of the time. The challenge is that resolutions become this big, overwhelming, we want to make these massive life changes. And I think what research shows is like 88% of them fail. Yeah. And not only that, but I was reading this study that was showing.
That's not a good statistic.
No, that's not a good stat. Or maybe it is. Maybe it makes you feel better about yourself. Like, oh, no, it's okay that I didn't complete
normal.
it. I'm normal. Congratulations.
Yeah, that's true. Another way to look at it. Yeah. It's kind of how we frame it. It's how we frame it for ourselves,
yeah, it's how we frame it. And I think that, you know, there's a number of things we can do to build habits successfully, but I think it's really important for people to understand intentionally building a habit, it's hard work. And it takes a lot of attention and intentional action in order to make that happen.
So is there a difference between building a habit and breaking a habit and the process involved?
That's a really great question. No, I will say, just because there's a pervasive myth that's out there that it takes like 21 days.
2 weeks.
It's BS. It's bad science, actually. So I would really challenge that.
Okay. All right.
Because have you said that? Just so you know.
Sorry.
But the reality is it depends on what habit you're building. There are some habits you can build and break in a very short amount of time, and there are some habits that you might never build, that like in an unconscious way, right? So the process, I mean, there's a couple of different things that we can do to set ourselves up for success, but I think it is really important for people to understand it's hard. It's hard work to change some of our habits. It's not impossible, but it just takes deliberate action over time. Yeah.
And I know you want to kind of talk about intentions versus impact to start off
just
with.
A little bit,
Okay.
yeah. You know, I think that most of us wake up with really good intentions, right? But intentions aren't the same as intentional action. You know, I for a long time, I spent many mornings waking up going, this is the day. Like,
today is the day.
Today's the day.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm looking at myself in the mirror saying, Sarah, you're going to eat 5 servings of fruits and vegetables today, and you're going to move 20 minutes, and you're going to, you know, like meditate for twice a day. This is it. This is it.
12-hour window here.
And then I find myself on the couch, right, like with Oreos, binging on Netflix.
Yes.
Because I didn't do anything to really take intentional action on that. And the other thing that we have to realize is that our good intentions might not produce the impact we want. And particularly when I think about that, I think about it more from the impact to other people. That I might have good intentions to treat you well, but I might unintentionally do things that harm you, and so I have to own both of those.
So how do we put the action to those? What are some tips to make sure that there is action attached to those intentions?
Yeah. So I think the first thing is, and I do this a lot with my clients, is to, when you write a goal, to change how you write it. And that is typically when we think about a goal, we say it as something we want to do. So a couple of tips. One, don't ever write a goal about something you don't want to do. It's never as motivating to move away from something as it is to move towards something.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, so an example of that is like, I want to eat less Oreos, right? But if it's, but like that's like an aversion. So the flip of that would be, I want to drink more water at the end of the night, or whatever it might be.
Okay.
And but more specifically is to write the goal as if you've already done it. So instead of saying, I will move more. You know, here's a good one for me that I'm working on is. Instead of saying, I will listen more deeply to people, I would write the goal as if I've already done it. Like, I am listening powerfully and deeply to the people who are in my life.
So you're putting action
You're putting action to it, and not only that, but the reason why writing it as if it's already happened works is our brain doesn't know the difference between imagining something and actually experiencing it. And so the more that your brain can experience something, the more that it can have positive reinforcements of what you want to accomplish, the more likely you are to do it. Because by me imagining what it's like to listen to and write it as that, I already know that I'm capable of it because I've imagined it.
And you've mentioned writing a couple of times.
Yeah.
Are you one of those that believes in writing it down or having it so you can see every day? You hear about that, or people say make your password an intention that you have or an action so that it's something that you have to type or look at or remind yourself of, as opposed to just saying, I want to lose weight in 2020. You know, like how does that work, and is there actually science behind that?
Yeah, there absolutely is. I mean, we know, I don't remember the exact percentages, but we know that when we think about it, there's a certain percentage that we're more likely to complete it. We know that when we write it down, it increases our chances, and we know then when we share it publicly, we're even more likely to do it. And sharing it publicly, like sharing it, through our language, we're more likely to complete it. And the more specific we can make it, the better. That's the other thing. So if my goal is I want to listen better, well, that's so broad and generic.
Right.
But I'm going to listen to my parents more effectively. Like the more specific you can make it, the more likely it is that you'll attack it. But to your point about like keeping it in front of you, it's funny you say this. So we have a weekly newsletter, and today the topic is all about this idea of anchor. And anchors are visible symbols we surround ourselves with that will ground us in what are the goals that we have. And actually, I'm wearing one of my anchors today. So this is my elephant necklace. This is not planned, but I love this. So for me, I'm really passionate about making sure that I do what I need to do to free the elephant in the room, right? How to have the conversations, how to not avoid what I'm avoiding. And so by surrounding yourself with images that reinforce it, again, it's giving you that reminder.
You're giving that intention life then in different ways. And you're also wanting to, make it, we don't have to get it all accomplished in one, you talk about just the 1%.
Yeah.
Shooting for 1% better today than I did yesterday, or with it.
And literally 1%. I think that, I know that I fall into the habits of, I'm going to work out, so I go out and buy all this new gear, and I'm like, I'm going to sign up for all these classes, and I just can't do it because I'm trying to build too many habits at once, instead of just like, what's one small thing that I can do today?
And then you also mentioned about replacing habits and celebrating the catch. Touch on those real quick.
Yeah, so real quickly, replacing habits is identify like what's a current habit you have and replace it. So for example, if you want to move more, you might say, hey, when I get home, instead of sitting on the couch, I'm going to go for a walk. So it's about identifying what's the habit you want to replace it with, and that helps you anchor it too. And then the last one, celebrate the catch, is really important because you will fail. You will have times when you fall into defaults. You will have times when you're stressed and you're busy and you're tired and all of that. And what we have to realize is that the moment we become aware of we're doing something that's different than what we want to do, instead of shaming ourselves or falling into a shame spiral, or what I like to call a shame boomerang, that we that we celebrate the catch. That's like, oh, I caught it, and now I have a choice to do something different.
Yeah, great tips.
Yeah.
Wow.
As always, go to
SarahNollWilson.com.
I'm ready now.
She has a great blog,
Here
more
we go.
information, and
Thank you.
because it does make a difference in giving those intention, some action, and giving them life. And so hopefully that all of you out there who have some new habits and things that you're wanting to incorporate or change, these are some great tips for you. SarahNollWilson.com. Thank you for joining us.
You're
this morning.
amazing. Thank you.
Always great.
Thank you.